Hi everyone. Oh, I'm quite surprised there is quite a lot of people. Cool. So I'm here to make actually two announcements. We don't do those often, so I hope they're gonna be well received. So I don't know if you know Liana, but let's start with a very quick intro of Liana, so you can understand what we're bringing. So the Liana is a Bitcoin wallet. Is a simple Bitcoin wallet. You use it as any other Bitcoin wallet, but it is a fully sovereign Bitcoin wallet. So currently, the only version we have is a desktop application. So you download the software, you run it on your computer, but it does not connect to any third party, not including us, of course. So as a wallet, it does not know the price of Bitcoin because it's not going to fetch it online to connecting to an exchange or something. Currently, it doesn't give you fee estimation, so you have to go on mempool.space or other websites to figure out what fee you're supposed to spend. But this is also the correct way of doing a Bitcoin wallet, I believe, at least for me. So we kind of start building things for ourselves first, building the wallet as it should be. But at the same time, not everyone wants to have something when you have to run a full node on the same computer, or at least in the same local network. Not everyone wants to use a Bitcoin wallet where, it's only Bitcoin and Satoshis. It's not, no euros, no USD in there. You cannot see any of that. Not everyone like manual coin selection by default. So basically, having to know your UTXOs, having to track the time locks of them, because I haven't talked about time locks yet. But basically, Liana is very unique because it's a Bitcoin wallet that lets you have keys that become valid only in the future. So this is what it looks like right now on desktop, by the way. That was just, to show you what it looks like right now. But the main use cases of Liana currently, they're still going to be the use case in the future. They're basically safer inheritance. What do we mean by that? I don't know how you guys do your, let's say, leaving your legacy if something happens to you, to your family. But basically what the typical Bitcoiner does today is you write down your mnemonic, 12 words, 24 words, put it in an envelope, write on the envelope, please do not open this envelope before I die, and you give that to your family. The issue there is that it's not very secure because, maybe you can trust your family, maybe not. But the thing is really your family doesn't know as much as you about Bitcoin, and they will not secure this piece of paper or this envelope as well as you would. So something could happen. Somebody could break into their house, steal this piece of paper, and empty your wallet. So the main application of Liana right now is that the piece of paper you give them is actually behind a time lock, typically 1 year. So as long as you keep using your wallet, this time lock keep being pushed. So if anyone accesses this mnemonic that you shared with them, they're not going to be able to spend as long as you're alive. So that's basically the main use case of Liana right now. You can also use it for your own backups. So currently, you set up a hardware wallet. First thing the hardware wallet does is giving you the mnemonic. So you go from like, oh, I bought a super secure hardware wallet, but now I have a piece of paper that can empty my wallet. Why? We don't need to do that anymore. You could actually have this backup being a time lock key, maybe after 1 month. So if somebody break into your house and get this piece of paper, they cannot steal your coins. Anyways, that's, two of the things. It also works for businesses, etc. And as I was saying, the way we're doing it right now is like fully open source, no trusted third party, no external server, so no price indication. You need a full node, etc., etc. This is not, applicable to everyone. And so what about new Bitcoiners? What about, your friends, your family, when you are onboarding them to Bitcoin? You're telling them, you should really, look into Bitcoin because the world is kind of going to shit. Your currency is going to shit. Inflation is there. You should buy Bitcoin. But they're like, yeah, I'm not a full-time Bitcoiner. I don't have time to spend all my day learning about how I can run a full node at home. And so you don't really want them to have their money on Coinbase or something like that. So yeah, you don't really have, good options for them right now. And so what we're bringing today is Liana Lite. This is basically Liana that we're bringing for the masses. So it has, of course, a different compromise, which is that we are running the backend infrastructure. So this is connecting to our node, but of course, it's still a self-custody wallet. It's still your keys, your coins. But, for onboarding people now, you can just tell them to go to the web page. It's a web app. So they go to the web page, they just plug in their hardware wallet, and they can set up their Liana and use it as, just a web page. Nothing to install, no synchronization to do with your full node. So that's been like a very heavily requested features for us. The last line here, to be their recovery buddy, this is kind of the main application we see for this Liana Lite. So, I mean, if you have onboarded people into Bitcoin, let's say your family, maybe your parents, maybe children, the one thing you should not do, but everyone does, is keeping a backup of their mnemonic, because you know they are going to lose it. You know they're going to come back to you in 2-3 years, and they'll be like, oh, this Bitcoin we bought like 3 years ago, I read it pumped, and how do I get them back? And you're like, well, you have this piece of paper, right, with the backup. And they're like, oh no, I don't know, I don't remember. And so, they're expecting you to help them out. That's not cool. You shouldn't have a mnemonic of, somebody else. And so with Liana Lite, you can actually put your key as a recovery key, but it's behind a time lock. So as long as they don't lose their key, you cannot rug pull them. You cannot steal their coins. But if they lose it, after a while, you can actually help them get their money back. So this is kind of the main use case we see of Liana Lite. Onboarding new Bitcoiners, having them done, still self-custody. They still have to use a hardware wallet. They don't have anything to install. They don't have to think about, full node and things like that. And and they're basically ready to go. If they fuck up, you're here to help them out. Obviously, Liana Lite, like Liana currently, is free to use. Just go there, create an account, plug in your hardware wallet, and that's it, So you can, it looks like that. Kind of similar to the Liana desktop, but we removed a lot of things. We're trying to simplify it a lot. The new user in Bitcoin doesn't know about UTXOs. They don't know about coins. So we kind of abstracted that view, and we're trying to make it more close to what they would have on a online exchange kind of account. They have an account view, so they know how much money there is into it. They don't need to see the UTXOs. They want to receive money. They want to send money. We have 2 buttons, receive, send, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, sending a Bitcoin transaction is like a normal thing. Unlike Liana desktop, you don't have to figure out the fees you want to put. We have fee estimation in there. Low priority, high priority, just 2 choices. They don't have to think too much about it. And then they can just sign. Currently, we're using Web USB, so it's talking directly to your hardware wallet. We don't have yet the compatibility of all the hardware wallets we have on desktop. So we are going to have to do a little bit more work to integrate with, Bitbox Cold Card and things like that we already support in Liana desktop. But that's coming soon. And so to access that, today we're launching signet.lianalite.com. So you can play with it in Signet. Signet is a Bitcoin test network. The coins have no value, so you can just play with that. If you have a ledger today, it works with the ledger. So you plug in your ledger. We can send you some Signet coin. You can just, ping me on Twitter or whatever, send us an email. We will send you some coins so you can play with it. And I don't know exactly when we're going to launch the mainnet version, but very, very soon. So yeah, that's the first announcement I'm doing today. Second one is, this is still not good enough for some people. And we have a booth. You might have visited our booth already at the conference. But basically one of the questions we have is still around inheritance. That's kind of like the main interest of people. And the question people have is, what happens if, I die in 20 years and my family, they have everything set up. I set them up a mnemonic that's time-locked in the future, blah, blah, blah. They cannot rug pull me. But in 20 years, they probably will have misplaced this mnemonic and they don't know where it is. And what you want is that they can access your coins. But if they lost it, they lost it. So can we help with that? And actually, that's the second thing we're doing. We're announcing today. It's actually that... Oh, I lost the TV here. Guys, well, whatever. I don't see my slides. So the use cases of Liana, as I was saying, are these 3 things. Inheritance. What if the family lose my key? Time lock backup. What if I lose my backup? Yeah, this one. And the last one, disaster recovery for businesses. What if they lose, what if the building burns and we lose all of the backups? We want a last thing. And this is what we are announcing now, which is safety net. Safety net, we call it the ultimate protection against loss. Ultimate not as in perfect, because nothing is perfect, but ultimate as in the very last one in your Liana setup. So you can have multiple recovery paths. You have your normal key, you have your backup key, you have your inheritance key, but then in case everything is lost, you can actually go to a custodian, a regulated custodian, to get access to the coins. But this key is only valid if all of the other ones have failed. So this is the case, your family in 20 years cannot access their key. They can still recover the coins after a while by pinging a custodian. The really cool thing about that, because people don't like custody, of course, is that basically, I'm going to cover that afterwards, is that basically these keys, you can set them up the way you want. If you want to have 3 different companies, custodians, like we know the main ones. There is like, I don't know, Unchained, Casa, BitGo, whatever. Why not getting the 3 of them and you make a 2 out of 3 of them? So you have no risk of, having one of them being not there in 20 years. Another thing we can do is that the way we set up Liana today, each of these custodians would not know about each other because we don't have to, with most of them, we don't have to share the descriptor. So they do not even know you're using multiple ones of them. Another thing that's super cool is that some of the custodians do not require this descriptor, and so they do not even know how much coins you have. They don't have any view of your wallet. They are just here as a technical insurance against everything goes to shit. But as long as you don't request, the recovery from them, they have no clue about you using them, how much money you have, where are your coins. They don't know anything. So even when the time lock expires, they actually cannot spend your money without this descriptor. So I think this is pretty cool. So yeah, the difference between right now, so that would be right now, you have your key, your backup key, your family key, let's say. We're just adding a last layer. On this image, I'm just simplifying, I'm putting one last key. As I was saying, that can be a multi-sig. You could have multiple layers of them. You can have redundancy. You can have multi-sig to just make sure not any single one of them can actually spend the money. So a lot of cool stuff you can do. But this safety net, it's not us. We're not a custodian. We're just a technical provider. We are building super cool tools on Bitcoin, but we don't want to deal with the regulator. So they are existing custodians. I hope some of you in the room are actually part of this custodian and would like to talk to us to be integrated to this marketplace. So this is a marketplace of custodian. We want our users to have a list of custodians that are already integrated with us. You can just click and choose the ones you want. You have the keys, and that's ready to go. So for us, it's like a very good partnership opportunity for these custodians and for us. We can bring them revenue, and we can make custody better in terms of like more private and more redundant, and just, more accessible for Bitcoiners. And so currently we are launching an early access of this. I think we are really slashing down on term of cost for custody, just because the technical risk for the custodian is also much lower. So just to give you an idea of pricing right now, let's say you have 10 BTC, which is $500,000. You would just be paying something like €300 a year. So it's not that much for having a $500,000 secured like this way. And give you an idea. If you want to have that, we are ready to offer it right now. So just drop us an email and we'll hook you up, and that's it. I don't know. Yeah, maybe we can take 1 or 2 questions. I think we have time for that. So if anyone has like hard questions to ask, feel free.
Hi, Kevin. Great presentation. Just for the audience in general, when you say the key is compromised, but it's never really compromised, right? The key is always valid, and maybe they will find it again in 3 years. So when you say the next safety net is unlocked, it's just because the time lock gets expired. And I think if I'm right, the time locks synchronized to the date that is set at every transaction. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so basically the time lock we're using is OpCSV. It's the relative time lock in Bitcoin. So it's per UTXO, technically. That means that as long as you keep using your wallet and spending your coins, generating change, receiving new coins, each of these coins basically get pushed by the time lock. The maximum time lock we can use for a relative time lock is 1 year and 3 months. So you still need to use your wallet actively. If you don't use it, it's just going to activate other keys, but it doesn't deactivate or deactivate the keys you have. They stay valid, right? So it's not because the time lock expire that you got rug pulled by your family. If they don't try to spend, you're still fine. You can keep using your key and that will re-time lock everything, right?
You said that Liana for web is, or the Liana Lite is connecting to the hardware wallet via web USB. And so for what type of hardware wallet is it? Probably only for those which use USB, or is it for air-gapped hardware wallet as well?
That's a great question. It's an entire debate I'm not gonna enter with, but right now, yeah, USB is the way we go. This is not like for simplicity for people. Needs to be easy. Plugging a hardware wallet is no problem. Even for like what you can call, air-gapped wallet, currently in Liana desktop, we kind of recommend people to just plug it in USB, even if it's a cold card, for example. Of course, you can, drop the PSBT in a file and send it to your cold card. That's no problem. That works. But like the attack vector is not really out there. The data that you have, for example, in the QR code flashing for an air-gapped hardware wallet, if you're scanning this flashing QR code, you have no clue what kind of data is sent either. So really, the security of the hardware wallet should be done on the firmware perspective. You're not really at risk by just plugging it in USB. But anyways, to answer your question, right now, yes, USB. There is nothing preventing us from letting users download the PSBT and sign it on their hardware in an air-gapped manner, yeah. Yeah, just press next and okay. Verify what you're saying okay to. But it's not that hard to use hardware wallet now.
Okay, thank you. That's a wrap.